Hey, welcome Wild Hives Community. This is Rob and Son. We're back out at our property checking on our hives today, and it's going to be a hot one. We're probably going to be close to the 90s, and we're also at the very end of July. So what does that mean? Hot weather, end of July, going into August. That means the dearth is either here or it's on its way. So what does that mean for us as beekeepers? Well, if we were watching a hive in a tree, it wouldn't mean much to us because they would take care of themselves, whether it's the dearth or whether it's the nectar flow. But since we keep bees in our hives, we need to consider what things we should do during dearth to help them and protect them. So some of the things that can happen during dearth is one, the reduction in nectar flow. Does that mean nectar flow goes completely away? No, it doesn't. It just means that it's greatly diminished, and also what they forage on may actually change. So the bees themselves have to accommodate the dearth. They usually start using some of their stores. They have to find new foraging locations and possibly new plants to forage from. But they're still going to keep foraging, and you'll probably still see a little bit of pollen coming in, and you may still see a little bit of nectar coming in. But dearth is definitely a time that's hard on the bees, especially if, as a beekeeper, you had extracted a great amount of honey from them so that their stores are either completely exhausted or greatly diminished. So what we need to watch before dearth comes is that, one, we plan for it. We make sure we don't take too much honey away from them. Unless we're somebody who's going to feed, then certainly dearth is a time to feed, and you probably will have taken as much honey as possible. But we here at Wild Hives, we don't feed our bees. So we, as we're going through June and getting into July, as we're extracting, we make sure we leave enough honey for them so that they can feed themselves. So we're not worrying about foraging as much or feeding them as much, because we believe they have enough stores for themselves to get through this time of the year. What we're most worried about is that also this restriction in resources creates a lot of competition. And if you have multiple hives, you're also creating competition between those colonies. So we have lots of hives here on our property, and so what we're worried about is watching out and making sure that the hives aren't starting to rob. Now, lots of things can cause the bees to want to rob. They are opportunists. They try to access any resource they can, and if it's closer, the better. So if a partner hive, a sister hive is right next to them, and that sister hive is weak, and they can get in there and start robbing that out, they're going to do that. That's just part of their instinct. Also, if they are being fed, you really need to watch open feeding or feeding of any type unless it's within the hive. The reason being is any open feeding can trigger an aggression pheromone, an aggression in their brain, which they bring back to the colony and they transmit to the guard bees. And so the whole colony starts becoming more aggressive during this time of the year, and especially if they're competing with other colonies for an open feeding feature that you might have. So just know, if you open feed, you may be actually triggering their aggression, causing more robbing than if you didn't open feed. So the one thing that we do is we watch for robbing. What's robbing? It's not the evening orientation flights where they crawl up the front and jump off and face the hive. Robbing is quick, aggressive flying in, quick, aggressive flying straight out, and a lot of competition at the entrance. So if you see that, one of the things you can do to try to help your colony is to either close the entrance here all the way down for an hour or so until the robbing stops. What you'll probably see is some of the bees piling up on the front, and those are the robbers trying to get back in. But eventually, over an hour or so, they're going to give up and go somewhere else. They have a job to do. But once you get the robbing calmed down, the way you could try to protect a weaker colony, if you have a weaker colony, and I'm not saying you have to do this with a strong colony, but if you have a weaker colony, dial the entrance down to about halfway. And what you're doing there is you're allowing whatever guard bees in the colony to have a better chance to fight off anybody that's trying to come in and take resources away from them. We also, if you have robbing, one of the signs you can see from the outside is if you have a screening or any kind of metal or anything around the entrance, you'll start seeing it caked with comb, wax. And that is the robbers inside. After they've torn the honey comb down, they're trying to get out and they have that wax on them and it gets stuck on the entrance. So you'll see piling up of wax. So I hope this has helped you a little bit. Pay attention to what you do when you extract honey. Pay attention to if you're going to feed or open feed. And be aware they're having a tougher time during this time of the year, but they can really kind of take care of themselves as long as you leave them the resources they need. Just keep an eye on the entrance, and if you need to help them with some kind of robbing, close it for a very short amount of time and then open it halfway for a couple days or a week. And they're just fine with a smaller entrance. They can get in and out. So this is Rob and Son from Wild Hives. Hope you have a great day.